What's going on, everybody? I am back with another Prize Picks NBA player props video. This one going to be breaking it down, giving you guys 3 picks that you win some money over here on Prize Picks in the NBA tonight. As always, coming off a nice 3-0 sweep last night. I had mentioned it wasn't the largest slate. There was only a couple of games, so I went ahead and gave you guys 3 of the picks that I was really high on that I released to my VIP members. Every single one of those picks got bumped, and we had a great day over there. They were all 3 picks that I was very high on. I mixed and matched them on 3 5-star 2-man tickets in my Discord. Ben Simmons rebounds and assists, Nikola Jokic over rebounds and assists, and the Joel Embiid points. Every single one of these props ended up getting bumped up an entire point, which is actually really rare for the rebound and assists. Points, that'll happen all the time, but regardless, both of them would have, or all 3 of these props would have cleared regardless, even if you did play them at the bumps, which is always nice to hear as well. So obviously, I know some people maybe aren't quite able to watch this video right away. Maybe these bumps do occur. So if you tuned in yesterday, you should have been very happy. I was happy. I was able to turn all 3 of those 2-mans from $15 into $4,500. So good day over there. Like I said, it wasn't the most amount of games, so I went ahead and just gave out those VIP picks to you guys in the public as soon as I could so you get them in before those bumps. Like I said, even if you got them in after the bumps, it did pay off yesterday. So hopefully you tuned in and were able to cash in a little bit on yesterday's video. If you did, and if you do enjoy this content today, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. It is free. It takes 2 seconds to do. Coming fresh off a 3-0 sweep. If you could help me out with that, that'd be awesome. Trying to get these videos up to 500 likes. And if you want to check out the premium content packages, you can do so. Link below in the description. I already released a couple of 5-star 2-mans over there already that have been bumped as well. So, you know, those won't be in this video. I try to release picks to you guys that aren't bumped to the public. But if you want to check this out, I do offer lower tier access, and I did update this page to give you a little bit more of an idea as to what you're going to get with the VIP. So the lower tier, you're going to get access to a singular lower tier, you know, Underdog NBA. You can chat it up with the community, get access to those plays. The VIP members are going to have access to every single channel in the Discord. But if you're in the lower Discord, you're going to get that Underdog NBA. You're going to get notified of my core plays, as well as be able to chat it up with the rest of the community, talk some plays. If you're in the VIP member package, there's a whole lot more to offer. And I finally do have this listed. You're going to get access to the VIP lounge. That's going to be top priority for anything, any questions you have. I'm always popping in and out of there. That's what the VIP, you know, kind of pays off for. I'm going to be prioritizing you guys. And then you also get access to the value alerts. I'm going to alert you as soon as I detect any value, all apps in my Prizepicks ticket channel, my Underdog ticket, Monkey Knife Fight. The core play tiers, just introduced that for the VIP members. That's going to give you access to my top plays in each tier. So I'm going to have tier 1 plays, tier 2, and tier 3 to give you an idea of what you should be prioritizing in your tickets. You know, all 3 tiers I'm going to love, but the tier 3 is going to be maybe some plays I'm taking some risks on with like some injury news, etc. Tier 2 plays that I'm already confident in, I know are locked in, but not quite as confident as tier 1, so you can kind of prioritize which ones you're putting into your 2-mans or 3-mans, and then which ones you're putting into like your 5 and 6s. I am playing all those. You get the VIP play of the day, which I just started up. I believe I am 3-1 on those. Only one of those has been let down out of the 4. The VIP research, that's going to give you access to a bunch of my research and how it's broken down as far as how I get to these plays, the community voting, the community ticket building, the injury news, and the for all sports. So anyways, I do have that listed now. It's been putting a lot of work to continue to improve this package. I'm constantly listening to feedback. Just added the play of the day. I added the core play tiers. I'm doing a lot more over there to try to provide as much value as possible. And those value alerts, of course, so you can get that in before those bumps. That's what I'm constantly looking for. All apps, all sports that I do cover. Check that out if you're interested. And if you haven't checked out Prizepicks, check them out, guys. It's a player props website, an app where you can win money off of picking the over and under on all sorts of different player props. Use that promo code KJK DFS to receive an instant match on your first deposit up to $100 today. So, all right, now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into the important stuff. The picks, we'll go game by game as we always do. And the first game I'd like to discuss is going to be the Atlanta Hawks taking on the Dallas Mavs. This game comes in with a 118 implied team total for the Dallas Mavericks side. As far as the total game total, it's a 233.5 over under 2.5 point spread in favor of the Dallas Mavs. And I want to be talking about a guy that I was waiting to enter the starting lineup for so long, all season long. It seemed like I was begging for him to be on the board for props because I love targeting this guy. It's Christian Wood. His minutes have started to ramp up in a major way on this Dallas Mavericks squad, and I love to see it because Christian Wood is an amazing talent, especially in the fantasy point per minute category. The guys played 39, 35, 47, and 36 minutes respectively the last 1, 2, 3, 4 games. So they're finally starting to unleash Christian Wood, and the results have been there. 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 23 points last time out, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks, 1 steal, 24 points. He's really good at racking up those blocks, those steals. 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 12 points the game prior. Had a really bad game against the Clippers, but then you look at the game prior against OKC, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, 27 points. Guy's been getting the job done in all categories. No surprise to me. You look at his fantasy point per minute production over the last 2 weeks. He's got a 25.8% usage rate overall with a 1.18 fantasy point per minute production. That's obviously a lot of more minutes next to Luka Doncic than coming off the bench. But what's encouraging is you look at his fantasy point per minute production on the entire season as well. When he was coming off the bench and getting all that usage, he's still sitting at 1.18 fantasy points per minute as far as the Prizepicks scoring format is concerned. So it's not like being on the court with Luka has really hurt him all too much. And like I said, 28.9 minutes on the season. That's because a lot of these games early on in the season, he wasn't even sniffing 30 minutes. They were playing in really, really low minutes. Now that's starting to finally ramp up, and I definitely do want to be taking advantage here in a fast, up-tempo game environment against an Atlanta Hawks squad that's giving up a ton of fantasy points per game to these forward starters as far as Christian Wood. I mean, he's technically playing at the center position, but he's kind of like a power forward for regardless. They're giving up 36.7 fantasy points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 28.9 minutes over 41 games. He's gone up to 39.3 minutes per game the last 3 when he was averaging around 28.9 over 41, like I mentioned earlier. So these are all things that are encouraging, trending in the right direction for Christian Wood here to have a big game, a 118 implied team total. And I just really want to be targeting this guy, man. I'd have a feeling his fantasy score is just going to keep climbing. He has cleared this in 4 of the last 5 at this 38.5 fantasy score line. And I do have him projected to score in the mid-40s from a base projection aspect today with a ceiling of 50-plus fantasy points, as we saw him put up against an LA Lakers squad where he put up 66.8. But, I mean, we've seen this guy putting up in the mid-40s pretty consistently now that he's getting these minutes against OKC 45, Portland 45. I do expect that trend to continue in this matchup. And I just kind of discussed it. He's so good in all categories, and he gets a lot of blocks and steals. You do get 3 points for every one of those blocks and steals in the fantasy category. So for those of you that don't know how this kind of works for the fantasy scoring, it's 1 point for every point, 1.2 for every rebound, 1.5 for every assist, 3 points for every block, 3 points for every steal, and -1 for every turnover. So Christian Wood's a fantasy point per minute beast. He has been for a long time. When he was on the Houston Rockets, he was a guy I always liked targeting. And I'm very familiar with this fantasy scoring format. Prizepicks has the exact same fantasy score format that FanDuel has, and I used to play lots of FanDuel early on in my DFS days. I've been doing this for a long time, so very familiar with Christian Wood's fantasy point per minute output. Very familiar with wanting to target him, and I'm really excited that they're finally actually giving this guy some big minutes. So definitely going to go ahead and go with the over on Christian Wood's 38.5 fantasy score here for pick number 1. Pick number 2, we're going to kick it down to this Cleveland Cavaliers-Memphis Grizzlies game. This game has a 227 over-under, 7.5 point spread in favor of the Memphis Grizzlies. And we have another guy that I think is being massively underrepresented on Prizepicks as of late in the fantasy scoring format. And it's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Memphis Grizzlies. This guy's an absolute fantasy point per minute beast as well. He racked up a ton of blocks. He can score. He can rebound. You look at over the last 2 weeks, we're talking about a 1.63 fantasy point per minute production with a 22.2% usage rate. Desmond Bane's been back for quite some time now, so that's all that is factoring in Bane on the court, of course, over the last couple of weeks. He's kind of been the third option, quote unquote, but he's really, really good in this fantasy scoring format over here on Prizepicks. I mean, the guy just gets so many blocks and steals. He can rebound. He can score, like I said. And absolute fantasy point per minute beast. You look at his numbers on the season as far as Jaren Jackson Jr.'s fantasy point per minute production. We're talking about 1.46 fantasy points per minute for Jaren Jackson. That tops LeBron James in this fantasy scoring format. So for those of you that aren't really familiar with Jaren Jackson, I would think you kind of know him. I mean, I think he's a pretty well-known name around the league, but just in case you don't, I'm sure you know LeBron James. This guy's putting up more fantasy points per minute on the season than LeBron James is. So if that's not an eye-opener for you, I don't know what is. You look at the 2 scores for these guys today. Jaren Jackson Jr. set at 31.5. You go down to LeBron James. He's up to 55.5. Now, obviously, LeBron's without Anthony Davis right now, so that context is important. But I'm just saying, from a fantasy point per minute production, aspect. This guy's up there with some of the best in the entire league, and he is not being posted on the board like he is. With his 31.5 fantasy score, he's cleared this in each of the last 5. He's averaging 43.5 over those last 5. And honestly, really, the only thing that can slow this guy down is foul trouble. He does have a history of a little bit of foul trouble in the past, so that can be a little bit frustrating at times when you target guys like that. But I will say, he's been doing a much better job of staying out of it this season for the most part. I mean, we're talking about a guy with 5-6 fouls like every game, it seemed like. He's been doing a much better job. He's going to play in the upper 20s, 30-plus minutes in competitive ball games. These last few games have gotten away, but expect right around 30, if not mid-30s minutes. And keep in mind, a much bigger front court for the Cleveland Cavaliers and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, so it is likely that they're going to need him out there for more minutes than maybe a typical matchup where they can kind of go small. So I definitely do like all those things. And then lastly, you look at the matchup as far as against this Cleveland Cavaliers squad and how they've been faring against his position. They've been pretty middle of the pack, so not good, not bad, but regardless, I got the guy projected for 40-plus fantasy points. This 31.5 line is just simply too low in my opinion, and I love this pick for pick number 2. We're going with the over 31.5 fantasy score here for Jaren Jackson Jr. That will be pick number 2. And then pick number 3, we're going to kick it down to this Miami Heat New Orleans Pelicans game. This game has a 220.5 over under 3.5 point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. And we have another guy that I want to discuss a fantasy score. A few of the props that I was on earlier in the day have got bumped with these fantasy score lines we can still target. Hopefully these don't get bumped. And it's going to be Bam Adebayo. Once again, fantasy point per minute beast. You look at his production over the last 2 weeks. Second in the team in usage, only behind Jimmy Butler with a 26.5% usage rate. 1.38 fantasy points per minute as far as the production for Bam Adebayo. So that's really, really good. You look at his fantasy production on the entire season. He's putting up 1.2 fantasy points per minute on the entire season. So as of late, that fantasy point production is actually ticking up even more in our favor with a 1.38 fantasy point per minute production. And then you look at the game logs as far as the minutes. How is he getting the job done? Very similar to what we just talked about with these other 3 guys, or these other 2 guys. These are all center forward guys that we're targeting today. Well-rounded, blocks, steals, points, rebounds, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 20 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 2 steals, 24 points. Guy does it in every single category. He's going to play in the mid-30s. Just talked about his fantasy point production ticking up as well as of late. And another guy that's been crushing his fantasy point prop. He has cleared this in 4 of the last 5, 40.5 fantasy score here. He's averaging 44.3. And once again, I do have him projected over as far as the latest run. I've got him projected in the upper 40s in this one, and the Pels have been a great matchup against the center position. They're giving up 36.5 fantasy points per game to center starters, 7 field goals per game. It's a positive pace differential as well, taking on this New Orleans Pels squad that does play at a faster pace than the Miami Heat. As far as the New Orleans Pelicans, they come as the 12th fastest paced team in the league, and then Bam Adebayo and these Miami Heat come as the 28th fastest paced team in the league. That's bottom 3 in the league, so pretty much every game is going to be a pace-up matchup, but that's just something to mention as well with this Pels squad. Definitely going to be a nice pace-up matchup for Bam Adebayo. And I do expect his fantasy point production to continue in this one. Just talked about it. The fantasy point rates going up. Has looked really, really well, or really good. Has hit this over 40.5 fantasy score for the last 5. And I do expect that trend to continue tonight. For pick number 3, we're going with the over 40.5 fantasy score here for Bam Adebayo. And that will be my 3 picks to get you winning some money over here on Prizepicks in the NBA tonight, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. If you haven't checked out the premium content packages, check those out. Once again, the lower tier is going to give you access to all my core plays once all my research is done. Bumps do happen, though, before I can get out that full list. If you want to get those priority alerts as soon as I place my tickets, all apps, all sports that I cover, and all the other features that I've been adding to this VIP member package to create as much value as possible, go ahead and check that out. It's $49.99 a month. That's $1.66 a day. I do not plan on changing the price tag, and I plan on adding more and more to that package to provide as much value as possible. So check that out if you're interested. And that's all from me, guys. Wishing you all the best of luck on your Prizepicks NBA player props tonight, and we will see you in the next one.